Yo, what's going on YouTube? So today in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how to create a repeatable sales system for the broke clothing brand owners out there. In the beginning, it's very hard to get momentum. It's very hard to get sales. It's very hard to get people to pay attention to your brand. In this video, I'm going to break down a system that I use to achieve over $630,000 of my own clothing brand. I'm going to be breaking it down step by step in detail. You're going to want to watch the full video so you can understand the full picture on how to achieve this with your own brand. If you are new to this channel, this is my secret channel, so make sure you subscribe. Let's get into the video. All right, so how a broke brand owner builds a repeatable, remember the word repeatable, sales system without ads, without big inventory, and without marketing knowledge. So I'm going to be breaking this down step by step. This is the same exact system I used to achieve over $633,000 with my clothing brand. My biggest month using this system was $121,000. And majority, like I said, of the revenue was organic marketing. So yeah, the first thing I am going to explain is organic marketing versus paid advertising. This is going to be super important for you brand owners out there. All right, so this is paid and this is organic marketing. So the biggest difference between paid and organic marketing, I'm actually going to put this over here first because I'm going to describe this first. Organic marketing is anything that is free that you use to market your brand. So we're going to go ahead and list some things out. It's TikTok, Instagram Reels. Yeah, so TikTok, Instagram Reels are the main way to go. Let's just say word of mouth. These are all different organic ways to market. This is what you're going to want to focus on if you don't have capital for your clothing brand. And the next way is paid marketing. Paid marketing is, better, let's say Facebook ads, TikTok ads, and we can even say influencer marketing. That should really go in its own bubble, but you are paying and losing money, to do influencer marketing. So it is what it is. But all of these are, like I said, these are different paid ways and these are different, free ways. Now, in the beginning, like I said, majority of my revenue was organic. So that means I utilize what I could as far as TikTok, as far as Instagram Reels, and as far as word of mouth. I pushed my product as hard as I could. So starting out, I would highly recommend, if you're a broke clothing brand owner and you don't have a lot of capital to start out with, organic marketing is definitely going to be the way to go, because you can post as many times as you want to on TikTok. You can post as many times as you want to on Instagram Reels, and you can talk to as many people as you want to spread your brand by word of mouth. Now, how many views you get on each video is completely up to you. It completely depends on the quality of your video and how consistent that you're posting. And we're going to talk about that deeper into this video. But I want you guys to really understand the concept. A lot of you guys may have already known what organic marketing was or paid marketing was, but I don't think in a lot of brand owners' heads that it actually clicks that organic marketing is literally free marketing. You can post as many times as you want. You don't have to post. You can post. You can post 10 times. You can post 15 times a day. As long as it's quality content, that is your biggest advantage as a broke clothing brand owner. Now, when it comes to paid ads, you're probably at a disadvantage because, one, it takes skill to run ads. It took me almost a year plus to learn how to run ads. A lot of the clothing brand owners that I work with and I scale their brands, they don't know how to run ads. They just have the capital to do so. And like I said, the second thing is capital wise. You have to have capital to dump into paid advertising. You have to be able to lose that money to make back more money. But the problem is a lot of brand owners starting out, they do not have the capital to do so, just like me. That's how I was. So I really understood how to market and how to make good content online through organic content. So like I said, TikTok and Instagram Reels and word of mouth, that really helped me out in the beginning. They gave me a boost so I could eventually, dip into pay advertising and scale my brand up in that way. All right, so it's not about just picking things that you like, but you have to also pick things that your customers like as well within your niche. So it's super important that you choose your brand identity. I'm gonna be honest, me starting out in the beginning with my clothing brand, I think this is something that held me back for a very long time. I did make a lot of progress in sales, but me not clearly identifying that, hey, my product is for this group of people and this group of people resonate with my product, it felt like I was a little bit of everywhere. So I couldn't really build a product that they like. I was more so just building things that I liked, and I kept identifying with different groups and audiences, which was slowing down the progress of my brand. because there was no consistency. You want people to come back and buy from your brand every single month. So with me making different pieces for different, audiences, it really slowed down the progress of my brand. Yes, I had some big drops. Yes, I made a lot of money, but at the same time, I was left with a group of people that were spread across a lot of groups of people, if that makes sense, versus me identifying with one specific group of people that came back and supported my brand every time I made a release. So I would say the best formula for this is, and I teach this inside the private group. If you are interested, I'm going to link that down below, but we talk more about this in detail on how you can do this. But number one, include the things that you actually like, so you, and then the other things, the things that your customer likes. And we're going to add one more thing to this. We're going to say trends. Trends are super important. So right now, I'm going to give you guys a freebie. Like I said, we talk about this within the private group. We give you guys different trends and different things that are going on, and it's up to you to implement it within your brand. But a clothing brand trend that's going on right now is something called Gorpcore. So Gorpcore is kind of a mix between, wearing like hiking gear with a mix of like streetwear. So if you mix those two things together, you get something called Gorpcore. But imagine that you mix the things that your customers like, which is in your brand identity and whatever resonates with your target audience. And then you also mix that with one specific trend or any trends that are going on at the moment. And then you make good content along with that. It's literally no way you can lose, because you're using all of these different factors. It's things that you like, things your customers like, and trends that are going on in the market. And that's all clothing is. Trends come around, they stay, they go. Some stay around longer than others. But if you can identify those trends in the market, which is something we teach in Next Gen Success, which is my private group. Like I said, I'm going to link that down below. But if you can identify those different trends in the market, then you win. And if you have these 3 different things, then you win. It's literally, I would say, impossible to make a product that's not a winning product if you follow these 3 steps. Next up, what we're going to talk about is they confuse posting with marketing and they rush the drop. So this is kind of 2 parts, but I want to talk about how a lot of brand owners out there just post to post, and that is not how you win. When you post something for your clothing brand, you have to post with intention, and then you have to also post quality and quantity as well. So intention, quality, quantity. When you're posting, you need to 100% say you need to do market research. So you're doing market research on products, like I said before, and you're studying, like I said, I'm going to change the color of this. You're studying different trends. And then also when you're actually posting content, you're doing market research on what other people are using to market. So if I were you, I would go to, any brand out there that's really booming and popping on the content side and go see what they're posting and ask yourself, why did this go viral? Why did this do better than the last post that someone had? Or why does this have 500,000 views and why does this have 5,000 views? So if you ask yourself that question and you post with intent and you're posting consistently, I'm going to give you guys a quick little content calendar. This is something that we encourage the students inside of Next Gen Success to do. But let's just say for 4 weeks, so that's a month. On TikTok, you're going to want to post 3 times per day. Bro, if your clothing brand is your only thing that you're really trying to blow up and you got a job or something, there's no reason that you can't post 3 times a day. We're going to say 2 to 3 times a day. Now, there's a lot of people out there that's going to say this is dead. This method, as far as, posting over and over, is dead. You don't have to do this anymore. If you notice, those are people that are already popular in the space. Now, if you're a nobody, and that's who I was when I started out with my clothing brand, no one knew who I was. So I had to put my product in their face as much as I could because no one recognized my face. And that's probably somebody like you starting out there. You're not somebody that's already established. You're not somebody that has the connections that, all of these other influencers and people are telling you don't have to post 2 to 3 times a day. We have to utilize what we have and what's free, and that's organic marketing. So putting the product as much as you can in your customer's face every day, putting up shots. If you're putting up 3 shots a day on TikTok and you're putting up 2 to 3 shots a day on Instagram Reels, and you're doing this for 4 weeks straight, look at how many chances you're giving yourself to win versus trying to look cool and, post 1 time a day or post, every other day. You're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? So you have to really lock in. Post as many times as you can. Post content that's going to catch people's attention. Think about the content that you're putting out and post consistently. If you do this and you show up every single day and you follow this rule right here that I have as far as, making a good product and making something that people like, you will win. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is they rush to drop. And I kind of talked about this already right here, but people don't want to really wait. People don't want to wait 4 weeks and post every day for 4 weeks. So I feel like that's a lot. So that's something else that I see that a lot of clothing brand owners do, and that's why they lose. 4 weeks is not even a long time, bro. 4 weeks posting every day. Don't rush to drop. Really give yourself a chance to get out there and get exposure and, you know, let people see your product that you have. Each person, each view adds up, and it's just a system, bro. It's just a system. If you follow the system, you will win. Last thing is they have a leaky bucket. Site, offer feels sketchy, bland, or overpriced for what it is. So this just means that, you know, when you have a clothing brand, you have to sometimes take yourself out of your own body and look at your clothing brand as a whole, and look at it as a customer, and look at it from a customer's point of view. And so if you come to your site, would you actually buy from your site? Does your site look reputable? Did you spend, you know, a good amount of money in your site to make sure that everything looks clean? Did you spend a good amount of money to make sure that your content looks, you know, aesthetically pleasing? Or it's not all about money either. It's about the time that you put in. So did you put enough money and time in to make your brand look professional and make it look like it's an actual clothing brand? Because you have to think, you're competing with all of these other brands out here that are already established. Customers don't really care that you're just now starting out. Some may, but most customers don't care. They're going to buy your product because they like your product and they want to feel safe when they're purchasing your product. So whatever you can do on your website to make them feel safe, whether that's, you know, putting a model up there and saying the model is 6 foot wearing a size medium, or whether that's telling them that, hey, the shipping is 48-hour shipping, or, you know, just making your website look aesthetically pleasing and having everything that they're looking for and answering all of their objections before they press that add to cart button. You want to make sure that someone can go seamlessly through your site and feel completely comfortable with buying from your page. Another thing that helps with that is, you know, your Instagram page. I like to call your Instagram page your digital portfolio. So you just show different things, maybe videos, pictures. In the Reels tab, like I said, you can spam and you could just, you know, only view in the Reels tab. You could put some Reels to only view in the Reels tab, and everything else on your profile grid should look professional. Make it look nice, make it look aesthetically pleasing, make it look like a brand that people actually want to buy from, and then that's how you win. So make sure your brand site doesn't look sketchy. Make sure your brand site doesn't look bland. Make sure that your products, like I said, take yourself out of your own body, put yourself in a customer's shoes and body. So yeah, if you make sure you do these 3 things, that is how you're going to win. I see a lot of unprofitable brands do this and they don't make any cash. If you want to make money, make sure that these 3 things are things that, you know, you're not doing, and make sure these are things that you're following. If you do want to make cash, make sure these things that I described are things that you're including within your brand. Like I said, I see the unprofitable brand do these things all the time. Okay, so next I like to break things down into a 4-part system. First part of the system is demand, which is just attention plus story. So you can build a lot of demand through the content that you're putting out. And actually, I'm gonna show the second one as well. But typically just, you know, hyping up your product is demand, sending them to, you know, some type of page on your website, and that's probably like a page to sign up for SMS. So I would definitely say put out as much content as you can. I had a couple big drop days, but my 2 biggest drop days, one was 36,000 and the other was 20,000, and these are dollars. So $36,000 and the other was $20,000, about $21,000. I hit these big drop days because I was posting every single day. I made it a job to post 2 to 3 times a day. And, you know, on the times I didn't want to post, I posted. And the times that, you know, I thought that I was posting too much, I posted more. So I would definitely say that building demand is one of the main key factors in having a successful drop. Like I said, the product is something that's also important, which we're about to talk about next, but just demand as far as marketing is going to be super, super important. So next up, we're going to talk about product and offer. Now, I'm going to give you guys some free game, bro. 100% you should use the early access method. So when you're sending them to your SMS, tell them that they're going to get early access. That is literally the best offer if you have a height-based drop. I just had a client within the past 30 days. We did that same thing. He did about $35,000 on his drop day, and him doing $35,000 on his drop day came from him telling people that, hey, you can get early access before this sells out. All you have to do is sign up for SMS. So if you have a good enough product, which I'm not going to go too much over because I already talked about how to create a good product up here, but if you have a good product and you have a good offer along with that product, there's literally no way you can lose. So next up is marketing, how you release and capture money. That's going to tie tie back into, you know, the attention grabbing story. Demand and marketing kind of go hand in hand. So I want you guys to realize that as you're marketing, you know, there's a ton of different ways to market, but like I said, the main 3 ways would be these ways right here: TikTok, Instagram Reels, word of mouth. Now, if you do have capital to run pay ads, I would recommend you doing it. But if you don't have a winning product, I honestly don't recommend you running ads at all. If you've done over $10,000, you know, in a month, then ads isn't a bad idea. If you do want to get your ads ran, or you need a team to run your ads, I run ads for a lot of big clothing brands out there. I'm just super behind the scenes with it. I am going to link that down below to where you can sign up to apply to work with us if it is something that you're interested in. But we do look for brands doing over $10,000 a month, so just keep that in mind. Next up is retention. Retention is super important because, like I said, a clothing brand is built from people that are coming back to shop with you. So you don't want to just build something to where, like I was building and the mistake that I made, and this is people that are just coming to shop with you and they don't come back. And that's what happens when you don't have a specific niche inside the clothing brand niche, and you're just marketing to anybody, or you're just marketing, you know, the things that you like. That's how you lose. So you want to build a customer base that comes back and shops with you. Because think about it, if you put all these hours in to make this content, and you put all these hours in to post 3 times a day, 2 to 3 times a day, and then you're putting in that time, in exchange you're getting a customer, but the customer doesn't come back, then you lose. And it's the same thing with paid marketing. Actually, let's talk about that. So let's say a Facebook ad, even though you guys probably don't know how these work, but let's just say that you spend $30 to get 1 customer, and if you have to keep paying $30 over and over for a new customer that isn't going to come back and shop with you again, then you lose. If you're exchanging your time, and if you're exchanging your money for a customer that comes and buys from you and then they don't come back again, then you lose. I would recommend you to go out there and do drop shipping or some shit like that. But if you focus on retention and how to get repeat buyers and customers actually coming back to shop with you, then you win, because you put in this exchange of time with either organic or paid marketing. And like I said, you put in an exchange of time, or you put in an exchange of money. So you acquired a customer with your time because you went out and made 1,000 fucking videos or something like that, and then you get these customers. But next time you don't have to go make 1,000 videos because they bought your product and they actually like your product, so they want to naturally come by again. And it's the same thing with paid marketing. So you spend money to acquire the customer. Let's say you spend $30 to get this customer to purchase this $100 hoodie. After they buy the hoodie, they like the hoodie, so you don't have to pay for the customer to come back again. So 100%, like, that is the biggest part about owning a clothing brand, is that you get repeat buyers. You just have to make sure that you go into it in the beginning with that mindset. That is something that I did not know in the beginning, and I feel like that's something that I missed out on and I didn't really do a good job on. And I wasted a lot of time and a lot of money because I wasn't thinking for the long run. And it wasn't that I wasn't thinking for the long run, if I'm just being honest. It was just something that I didn't know. And that's why it's super important to have some type of guidance or somebody that's already done what you're trying to do in your space to help you win. And like I said before, we do help you and give you, different pointers and give you a heads up and give you the guidance that you need within the private group. I'm going to link it down below. We do have limited spots. We only accept a certain amount of people per month. So yeah. So lastly, what I have is I have a checklist right here. This checklist is basically, I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you guys, but a checklist that you can use for every drop. So you have attention, reach, and traffic. People actually see it, and that can be, made through content. Belief, trust, and proof. This comes from, a good site, a good Instagram page, a good product, making sure that, your product is good enough, your product is hard enough to make them actually want to buy it. So trust. Lastly is clarity, message, and offer. You got to give them a reason to buy, so people instantly get why it's for them or why now. So you have to make them have some type of urgency. If you have a product that has a clear message for that target audience and they feel like they can't get it anywhere else, and then you also have an unbeatable offer. Let's just say, like I said, there's a limited amount, there's only 50 pieces, and you can sign up for early access to get yours early. So you kind of have that FOMO effect within the content that you're putting out and the message that you're putting out. So it instantly, makes people say, bro, I got to sign up for early access and I got to get this piece. The next thing is friction, conversion, checkout. Nothing stops them from buying. So that's just making sure that your checkout process is pretty seamless. So that's pretty much it, man. I hope this video helped you guys out. Like I said, how to go from a broke brand owner that builds a repeatable sales system. This sales system is completely repeatable if you do it the right way. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Appreciate y'all, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Peace.